Bitcoiners out there and say, here we go again. I'm not necessarily saying it's my theory, although people have been talking about a super cycle for as long as I've been around in crypto, and that's back since 2020. However, as we go into 2026, I think the super cycle theory has a little more legs than maybe in the past. And there's some other pretty big names out there starting to echo that sentiment. So in today's show, we're going to update you on what's happening on the charts, what's happening in the news, but also what is the probability and why would we potentially look for a super cycle in the year 2026? If you are here and you enjoy our content, if you enjoy the news set, maybe you missed yesterday's show, make sure to smash that like button. We did better yesterday. Only 25% of you who watched are not subscribed to the channel. That's still 25% too much, though. Right now, smash subscribe. It's free. It's easy. It's quick. Go ahead and do it right now. Let's go ahead and get into some details here very quickly. I want to go to the screen, but we're going to talk about the super cycle actually pretty fast before we get into the charts. But Bitcoin did make a move here today. I told you yesterday that we were kind of sitting still. Nothing major was happening, but I had this feeling that the cycle or the price had not baked in the rate cuts that are coming tomorrow. I'll talk more about that here in just a couple of minutes. I didn't know when, but I told you more than likely we will have a rally before that happens. It turns out that rally started here today. In fact, when you look at the hourly chart, it really came between the candles of the 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 11 a.m., where massive volume came in and Bitcoin would shoot from $90,000 up over $94,000 once again. Why is this happening? We're going to talk more about that in just a second, but it is getting a lot of you guys out there feeling a little more bullish about these markets. Something big happening right now, even that affected this title overall, is a man by the name of CZ. He's the Binance founder. Most of you know exactly who he is. If you don't worry too much about it. He's one of the foremost experts in the world on the world of cryptocurrency. He also, I think personally, has a lot of control on some of the manipulation that happens there. That took me a little harder to say that word than I thought it would. Anyway, he came out here and said that we might see a super cycle in the year 2026. Now, go off my screen here for a second. Super cycle. What is a super cycle? Ultimately, there is the theory within crypto that a 4-year cycle of bull markets and bear markets is in play. You oftentimes have a year or two of sluggish action followed by another 2 years of major bullish action, another year of bullish action, and then follow that with a very long bear market year. We are in this spot right now in the 4-year cycle to enter into a bear market. The top would have been in October. Guess what? Coincidentally, Bitcoin's top, at least locally, has been in October. And if history repeats itself, this means we will see lower highs and lower lows all the way until next fall into October of 2026. However, well, that is the 4-year cycle. Super cycle says that that is not going to happen, that in fact, Bitcoin and crypto could see some of the biggest gains in the year 2026 entering into a super cycle. Let's take a look back at those charts. I told you a long time ago, I told you guys over a year ago that I thought that 2026 would be bullish. Let's go back to my screen here, Smay, so we can see this. I told you guys a long, long time ago that I thought that this year would be extremely bullish. Now, at the time, Bitcoin's price was hovering right at or right below 100K. I thought that 2025 would end up being bullish. That ended up kind of not being the real case. If you go and look at the 12-month candles, you look at the year candles here for Bitcoin, it's technically bullish. We got to say this. Technically, if I zoom out here, sorry, I got really skinny on me. Technically, the year for Bitcoin is bullish. That is a white candle right there by the skin of its teeth, but not a whole lot. 2025 is not going to be too many fireworks, but I actually think this could be a very good argument. The fact that Bitcoin in the final year of the bull market is extremely small could be some of the biggest evidence that why 2026 will be bullish. I mean, take a look at previous bull market tops. This was 2021. Yes, a big upper wick, but still a pretty big bullish candle. Go back to 2017. Massive, massive, massive bullish candle. Right now, in the year that we were supposed to have the most fireworks, that's barely even a bullish candle. You look at other coins, like say for Ethereum, that's an even smaller candle. In fact, with a wick being higher, we actually had a bigger wick to the downside when it came to Ethereum, because at one point in the year 2025, that was supposed to be so very bullish, according to the 4-year cyclists, we dropped to $1,300. That's not even talking about other coins like Chainlink, bearish. Ondo, extremely bearish. Cardano, very, very bearish. Sui, bearish, right? Every altcoin out there pretty much had a bad year. In a year that historically, for your cyclists tell us, should have been fireworks. Why though? Why do we have such a bad year? Ultimately, it's because 2025 was a whole lot more like what we had in 2018 or in 2022, where there was a whole lot of economic uncertainty. There was fear and concern. No one was able to really buy and sustain profits. So instead, we're looking to the next year to be bullish, and there's a whole lot of things pointing us towards a bullish year. Let's talk about some of those things as we get going, starting off with tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m., we will have a decision from the Fed. Are they cutting rates or not? Today is the highest we've ever seen, 97% likelihood that we will get rate cuts tomorrow. We'll be live, by the way, at 1:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to not just cover the decision, but also cover the Jerome Powell press conference. We kind of find out what the future looks like. But after literally just a month ago, we saw more than an 80% probability that they would pause. This is starting to turn the tables right now. Some other big news that's going to cause crypto and Bitcoin to keep going up in the next year. Michael Saylor coming out talking about how the following banks are now issuing credit against Bitcoin. Now, this actually is a couple days old. We were talking with our team. Crux was mentioning this is actually information he talked about a week ago or so. He covered it in a video, but it didn't circulate the internet like it's circulating right now. That's a little peculiar in my mind. It could have to do with a little bit of manipulation, but the fact still stands. These are details you need to know. Citibank, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, BNY Mellon, Charles Schwab, Bank of America, and by the way, this list of banks will continue to grow. They are now allowing you or issuing you credit against your Bitcoin. This will be another incentive for people to hold on to Bitcoin rather than dumping it because they maybe need to go pick up some cash. That's a very bullish story. Also, another thing, again, remember I told you 2025 has been economic uncertainty. One of the biggest reasons we had economic uncertainty was because of Donald Trump's tariffs. This caused inflation scares. It caused problems. It's caused people to have to close down their businesses and lay off employees. Not something you want to see for a bull market to happen. However, Trump then issued this today saying that he wouldn't rule out, he's not saying he will, he said he wouldn't rule out reducing tariffs on some goods. Go off my screen here for just a second, Smay. I kind of want to explain why this is so very bullish economically. We're about to get rate cuts, okay? We're about to get rate cuts. We've ended QT, and it looks like the Fed is already starting to enter into quantitative easing. Money is about to trickle back in. But to make sure that in a midterm year, well, Donald Trump wants to kind of turn the entire city of Washington, D.C. red with Republicans in the Congress, in Senate. Of course, he's the president already. In a year that he needs to sway things, he cannot afford for a bear market to happen in 2026. He cannot allow for inflation to be a problem. So what he's issuing with this statement is, hey, guys, I'm very aware that my tariffs have helped with inflation a little bit. They've kind of boosted inflation. Guess what? If it comes to it, if it's between me getting my congressmen and senators I need or having these tariffs, I'm willing to reduce some of them to keep inflation lower. He's admitting he has the tools to ensure that more rate cuts and more liquidity and a bull market will happen in 2026. Will it happen is the big question, but you're really laying a good foundation. I don't even have a tweet for this next part, but remember the Clarity Act is something we've been tracking for the last couple of months. There's rumor mills out there. Even though we've heard some reports that says we probably have to wait until early Q1 to get the Clarity Act to pass, there are some little birdies out there tweeting, we might actually see the Clarity Act passed before December 31st. All of these things lead us towards a raging super cycle bull market in the year 2026. But let's keep going. There's some other news here. And today's video is going to be a little shorter, more like a 20, 25-minute video. Want to get in, want to get out, give you your information, look at the charts. What else is happening right now that is extremely bullish? Well, guess what? This index is now live. That one we talked about the other day from Bitwise, these 10 crypto indexes are now live with the ticker BITW. It goes live in the New York Stock Exchange. It tracks Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Cardano, Link, Litecoin, Sui, AVAX, and dot. Might be one of the reasons why one of the bigger gainers of the day, Cardano, it's still below 50 cents. Let's go to a reasonable chart. Let's go to the 4-hour chart here for Cardano. Cardano, nice looking 4-hour chart. Don't zoom out too far, right? The farther you zoom out, yeah, it starts to get a little depressing when you come out here. But let's just focus on the positive right here. Cardano is back up to the highest level we've seen since back on November 17th, making some big pushes up here towards 50 cents. One of the reasons why, because it got listed on a massive ETF that is live now trading. So much is telling us that institutions are about to go heavy into the crypto markets. Tell me what you guys think, though, even before we get back into the charts. Go off my screen here, Smay. Even before we go back into the charts, tell me what you guys think about all of this. Do you think a super cycle is coming? Now, the last thing I want to show you in the news before we go into those charts, go back here. Jim Cramer coming out with a little bit of a dagger. I wanted to end on a sour note. We had a lot of good news, sour note coming. Go back to my screen here. Jim Cramer says, own NVIDIA, don't trade it. Now, at least he's telling you don't go crazy with the trading. But, of course, we all know Jim Cramer has the kiss of death when it comes to choosing stocks and choosing coins and everything else. So, does that mean that's the end of NVIDIA? Probably not. I mean, honestly, I think NVIDIA is stronger than a Jim Cramer curse, but it's something you need to know about as you are preparing for what you buy and what you sell. Let's get into some details here on the charts really quickly, though, before I go into it. If you guys have been following us, you guys know that I have been longing Bitcoin since back here at $85,000. You guys know that while we predicted that the bottom was not necessarily in when we crossed below 100K, we looked at levels at 90K and we looked at levels down here at 80K and we're able to catch this dip. One of the biggest reasons why was because of this indicator right here. This is called flow signals. It tells me when to buy. It tells me when to sell. It tells me where the best levels of support and resistance are with the order blocks, fair value gaps, and also the smart trail that is a cheat sheet in the world of trading. If you're wanting to use this indicator, got good news for you. It comes for free when you sign up for our VIP trading group. And guess what? I know that the Black Friday sale just ended. I know that now you're back up to a full price. I'll give you a little secret. Reach out to us. Join our free Discord. If you want to be in the VIP trading group, if you want this free indicator, join the free Discord. Ask a question, tag me. Maybe we can work on some sort of deal. The way you do that, make sure to go into this video you're watching. Look at that good looking guy right there. Go into the description. It's the top link right there, thewap.com. Click on that link. Select your choice that you want to sign up for. If you want to sign up and get access to live trading sessions, where I'm buying, where I'm selling, how our other pro traders are trading, and this free indicator that, again, is a cheat sheet for knowing when to buy and when to sell. All that can be found in the description down below. By the way, I'm going to do a video later this week on just what this means for a lot of other altcoins, but this is something I'm loving about this indicator and it's showing on the weekly chart. I've been telling you, wait for it. It is getting super, super stinking close. This indicator is dangerously close to giving us a buy signal on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. Right? Clear green reversal. We are slowing down the momentum. One of the things I actually love to look at, the money flow is one of the most important indicators out there, but you'll notice the money flow is not identical. That's why we have to have our own. It's similar to the MACD. And the MACD weekly chart right now, you can see the histograms. That's what these red candles are called, the green candles. The histograms have gone from being dark red to light pink, meaning the momentum's slowing down. And when the histograms start showing pink, that's a very good indicator that the money flow is about to start flowing back in. When that money flow starts flowing back in, we will receive a weekly buy signal. What does that mean? Well, the last couple times we've gotten this, April of 2025, September of 2024, September of 2023, you correspond that to time periods for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. This indicator has been lethal at the perfect buying spots. Oh, by the way, the sell signals, it tells you almost exactly where the tops are going to be as well. I'm going to do a video later this week identifying what price targets you should be looking for based on these buy signals when they come, not just for Bitcoin, but for a lot of your favorite altcoins out there. So stick around for that one. It's probably coming out Friday because I will not be live on Friday. I will be traveling on that day, but a video will still come your way. Let's take a look here at what Bitcoin is doing. Like I said, we put in another higher high on the shorter time frames with Bitcoin. I still tell people, based on our indicators here, we had this daily buy signal. It's still in effect. You do see some lower time frames getting a little bit bearish here. I think an interesting spot of resistance is going to be sitting at about 96.7 to 97K. If/when we break through there, you guys still know I think we are on a one-way train to run back into the 200-day moving average, this purple line up here. I think it's going to take some time. I still believe that Bitcoin has some volatility left in it, and we're going to have several higher highs and higher lows before we run into the 200-day SMA. What happens at that point becomes huge. If this line keeps moving on like this, do we reject on it and possibly still make a move towards a lower low, maybe towards that 74K or sometime early in 2026? Or do we break through and start heading for a brand new all-time high? We will monitor that as we get closer to the 200-day moving average. I am not ready to confess and say for certain that the bottom is in. I do wonder, and I asked in the poll, if the bottom is in for 2025, right? I told you I think 2026 will be very bullish. That doesn't mean we can't have a small fake out to start the year before a raging bull market later in the year. But what I'm watching right now, as we are preparing for a rate cut tomorrow, as we still have a lot of buy signals on the table here today, this is what I won't be surprised. Remember I told you yesterday that we don't have the rate cuts baked in just yet. However, we have started a nice little rally today. I wouldn't be surprised at all if what we actually see happen, as we're kind of now slowing down once again, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see a rally between now and tomorrow around 2 p.m. up to this first level of resistance, up towards that $96,700, $97,000 big order block in play here on Bitcoin. And then we start to have a sell-off. Why? Because sometimes it's a buy the rumor, sell the news. The rally that's happening here today is a rally in anticipation of we're getting rate cuts tomorrow. Well, if we rally early, that gives the whales and the institutions all the incentives to take their profits and let price dip back down. But I don't think, with all the positivity happening, I don't think that this is the time period where you make a grander move towards a lower low. No, I think the bull run continues. This bull rally, let's say bull rally actually, the bull rally continues. I think we put in some form of a lower or higher low, whether that stays in line with this kind of trend we have going the last couple of days, or whether we make a move all the way back down towards our rising level of support since the lows back here on November 21st. Either way, I told you, there's a lot going on here, and this is where the intricacies of making sure you're paying attention to all of the time frames is very important. We'll see 1 hour and 4 hours give us a sell signals. We might even see the daily chart kind of give us some neutral things going on. But I still think that what we're watching happen right now is sending us towards a decision mode. A decision mode up at that 200-day moving average. I think we're going to see a continuous, the rest of December, slow higher highs and higher lows until we have that run-in with the 200-day SMA, and then we have decision time. But right now, I don't think it's time to start looking for lower than 80K. I don't think it's time to enter any types of long-term shorts. I'm going to continue to ride my longs until I get a dang good reason to exit them and look for short positions. And right now, we're seeing why those longs are still the right move. Don't be surprised to see us get rejected at 97K or that area and have a higher low. I would look to add more at this level before we make our move up to the next bigger order block between 101 and 103. That's how I'm viewing the markets right now. That is what I'm waiting for in anticipation. Go off my screen here, Smay. Like I said, if you want to know exactly when I'm buying and what I'm looking at, I'm going live every single day at noon with my VIP trading group, keeping them up to date with what the indicators are saying and what I'm looking at in the markets. Again, several other live traders go live as well, giving their thoughts. One of the biggest reasons I stay bullish, and I don't think we're close to a dump, is today. Remember those candles I showed you earlier with the big volume that came out at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m.? When you looked at, I think it was Bybit, one of our pro traders looking at, his name is Silent. I highly recommend following him if you go over to our VIP trading group. He has this special tool where he looks at volume and he can tell what's coming in and what's coming out and the way it is. And he said the way we had massive buys, we had several $20 million longs that went in this morning at 10 a.m. He said, this is the type of longing as if somebody knows something. Very eerily similar to when we had those massive shorts back on October 10th, where things came out right before big news happened. There's a lot of positives coming in the next couple of days. And I'm not telling us we're going all the way to new all-time highs. What I'm saying is this rally is going to be volatile, but it's not quite over yet. And there are some very wealthy and influential people out there buying Bitcoin right now. It's time to be long. Stick around with the channel. I'll tell you when it's time to start taking some profits. I'll tell you when it's time to start looking for another short, because I don't know if we're out of the woods just yet. But you got to embrace the chaos. You got to embrace the volatility. Stick around tomorrow. I'll go a little more in depth on certain altcoins. And then Friday, I will go extremely in depth on what weekly buy signals mean for some of your favorite altcoins. Make sure on your way out to smash that like button and hit subscribe. I'll see you next time. Adios.